Yes, hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel and welcome along to the Clarets Daily News for today, which is the 22nd of May here on Turfcast. And to be honest, I didn't expect to be doing one straight after I did the first one. But once I got that first one out of the way, I remembered sort of how easy it is to find like little rumours and little bits of news. And then obviously I can easily relay that into a video for you. As long as I get to 8 minutes, which as you all know is the magic number for YouTube, I'm happy. But let's get into it then, because there was some reports from Turkey yesterday. And I know even if you give me the most reliable Turkish journalist in the world, I'd still be like, not so sure about that one. But I remember the reports about Jonjo Shelvey originally came from Turkey and everybody just poo-pooed them. And then obviously, eventually, we did sign Jonjo Shelvey. Now, whether that was a signing that was worthwhile is a different debate. But according to Photosport, I think that's how you pronounce it. Probably not. But they are saying Besiktas eyes Zeki Amdouni. Now, Besiktas are considering Zeki Amdouni, but his cost is high. Amdouni will first evaluate offers from Europe, according to the article. The article does go in to say that the Swiss striker who plays for Burnley in the English Premier League, but spent this year, obviously as in last season, on loan at Benfica, is on Besiktas's radar. The 24-year-old player, who also plays for the Swiss national team, is reportedly keen on a transfer to Turkey. Now, whether or not that is true, I'm not sure, but just a little bit of context needs to be applied to this, because I do feel like this has come from something that the Besiktas fans have done themselves. And to be fair to the news article, it does mention it. It says there underneath the headline, they come to Besiktas. Do you remember that video they used to do that? Come to Besiktas. And then loads of music would play. Actually, class, to be fair. But the fans on Twitter have started doing that again for certain players, and they've done it for Zeki Amdouni. So they've created the hashtag come to Besiktas Amdouni. And I feel like this rumour's kind of snowballed from that. Personally, again, not poo-pooing whatever this Turkish journalist is saying. However, like I said, even the most reliable Turkish journalist in the world, I'd still be a bit like, probably not, mate. But they go on to say, black and white fans are sharing posts with the hashtag come to Besiktas Amdouni for the transfer of Burnley Zeki Amdouni. He's born in Geneva, Switzerland on December the 4th, 2000, but Amdouni's mother is Tunisian and his father is Turkish from Trabzon. You know, the team Trabzonspor. I would imagine that's where they're from, just a guess. The young centre-forward who started playing football under his father's guidance is known to have been a Besiktas fan from an early age. And there is an image of Zeki Amdouni. I love it. I love it. Absolutely love that. With his little head. But yeah, there's an image of Zeki Amdouni as a kid in a Besiktas jacket with a Besiktas poster on the wall behind him. So make of that what you will. Again, like I said, I'm not overly worried about this either way. Even if Fabrizio Romano tweeted now saying, "Here we go, Zeki Amdouni to Besiktas," I'd be like, well, it's weird with with Amdouni, because obviously I remember sharing a post a couple of months back about how Benfica would not be triggering the option in his loan to make it permanent. And a lot of Burnley fans are sort of like saying, well, I'm not really bothered whether he comes back or not. Like, I'm not sure where his place in the team is next season. And I think he's a good player. Like, I do think he's a good player. He's a luxury player. He seems to get the tag that he's lazy. I'm not so sure. I just think it's kind of like his running style and his play style. I don't think he's lazy. I just feel like he struggled in the Premier League last time, but everybody did. But I feel like he was one of the players that had more flashes of brilliance than anybody else, especially in the first half of the season. I think in the second half of the season, he was pretty much a passenger, if I remember rightly. But in the first half of the season, he scored a goal at Forest, didn't he, which I think was in the Cup. And I was actually disappointed to see him leave towards the end of the season we've just done, because I thought he'd been a great asset in the Championship. But I would personally like to see him back, but again, I'm not overly fussed if he leaves. I feel like it depends what happens with Josh Brownhill. I think, as I've said before, I sort of like alluded to it on yesterday's show with Jeremy Sarmiento, and Zeki Amdouni is the same. I think Zeki Amdouni would be best utilised in the 10 behind the strikers or striker. Where are you going to be dropping Josh Brownhill for Zeki Amdouni though after the season Josh Brownhill's just had? If Josh Brownhill obviously signs a new deal, but obviously not really heard anything on that yet. But it's one of them for me. I'd have him. He's a bit of a luxury player though, but if he leaves, I'm not that bothered. Next up, and it's a story about another player returning from loan, and that is Hajalmar. Is that how you pronounce his first name? Hajalmar Ekdal, who, of course, went out on loan last season. He's another one that went out on loan and, again, has come back now to be part of the Burnley squad. Is he good enough for the Premier League, though? I'm not so sure. That's a debate for another show. But he has been speaking to some media somewhere, Swedish, I think, and he has said, this was in the Burnley Express, by the way, but they've taken it from Swedish media. He has said there is always a chance that he could rejoin the club he's just left. Not even going to try and pronounce it. Go on then. Groningen? Groningen? But anyway, he said, there is always a chance that I could rejoin them. We are talking about it now, and we will have to wait and see what will happen. There are several factors, though, like my club in England. It's not unrealistic that he returns to them. But, of course, there will be other options. I want to wait and see. I want to consider all the options. Now, it's an interesting one with Ekdal because I do think he's a good defender. And I think he will do well alongside Estev, because Estev's got the pace that Ekdal doesn't have. And if we lose CJ, he could be a ready-made replacement, but his pace worries me. His pace really, really worries me. I'm not sure he's good enough for the Prem. He's another one that I was surprised we saw him loaned out, to be honest, last season. But obviously, I understand it in the end with how good CJ was. But I think we accidentally stumbled on how good CJ was, didn't we? So when he was loaned out at that time, I did think it was a little bit of a surprise. I thought he would have been good in the Championship. But I always remember in that last home game against Cardiff, was it against Cardiff? Not the season just gone, the season before. I think that was the final home game. I can't remember, but it was a game at the Turf, and I seem to remember it being against Cardiff, and he got spun. He very rarely gets spun, to be fair, but at this moment he got spun. It might have been a passing behind, but the point I'm trying to make is they scored from. It wasn't his mistake, but he just couldn't track back. The forward was just so much faster than him, and I remember thinking at that time then, because obviously we'd just been promoted. The previous Championship season I'm obviously referring to, not the previous Premier League season, because we'd just been promoted, and then he'd just been outdone by pace. And I remember thinking, is this guy going to be good enough for the Premier League? And obviously 2 years on, and I'm still kind of feeling the same about him. So it's interesting. He's another one. I've seen a lot of Burnley fans on Twitter and stuff say, get him in the side if CJ leaves. He's a ready-made replacement. I'm a little bit unsure. I like him. He's very good at heading the ball, especially into the opponent's net. He scored a great goal against, was it QPR in that Championship winning season, away from home, just after the World Cup. But I think his pace will let him down. The forwards and the wide forwards and the wingers and even the fullbacks are just so rapid in the Premier League. Everybody's got bags of pace, and I do feel like Ekdal will be a little bit short in that area. So again, he's another one, in my personal opinion. You may disagree. Let me know in the comments. If he does end up leaving or going out on loan again, I won't lose any sleep over it. Right, next up, and it's the first bit of rumours or reports or whatever you want to call it about an incoming or a potential incoming, but it's from Graham Bailey. So, I wouldn't be getting your hopes up too much. But according to Graham Bailey, it is the guy I'm thinking of. Yeah, to be fair to Graham, he doesn't get everything right. I realise that sentence sounds horrible. To be fair to Graham, he did get the CJ Egan-Riley stuff going to Strasbourg before TalkSport. Now, to be fair, we don't know whether that's true or not yet. But with TalkSport picking it up and running with it as much as they did, I would imagine that there is some element of truth into them at least CJ at least talking to Strasbourg. I'm not sure Graham mentioned anything about signing a deal. I think he just mentioned he was talking to them. I can't remember exactly, but then TalkSport picked it up and said he'd signed a 5-year deal with them. But anyway, that's by the by. That's a different thing. But Graham Bailey reckons that Burnley are one of 4 Premier League clubs keeping close tabs on right-back Josip Juranovic. Now, is right back a position we need to strengthen? Again, that's a debate that's probably not really for this show. Connor Roberts had a fantastic season last season, but is he another one of them players that probably can't do it as much in the Premier League? I love Connor. I think he's great. I've always said he drops 7 or 8 out of 10s every single week without people really noticing. But he does sometimes get found out a little bit in the Premier League. But he's got another year of experience under his belt now, and I think it would be good to see him given a go. But if Burnley want to bring another right back in, then fair enough. That's on them. But yeah, Josip Juranovic, I'll be honest, I don't know too much about him. He currently plays for Union Berlin in the Bundesliga. Previously played at Celtic, I think. Was it Celtic, I think it was Celtic. And yeah, Union Berlin, I've just quickly checked before I came on here. I think they finished mid-table in the Bundesliga, flirted with a bit of relegation for a little bit. So yeah, he's been there for a couple of years, I think. I'll just quickly get his stats up. Yeah, right. So he's been at Union Berlin, since 2023. Played 50 times for them, scoring 2 goals. Was at Celtic for 2 years as well, only playing 36 times. So maybe there's some injury where he's in there. And scored 4 times for Celtic. So yeah, Bailey looking at a right back, according to Graham Bailey, but it's Graham Bailey. And the final one from me then is some news about the women's team, actually, because the club have today, at the time of me recording this, so what day are we on? Forgot already. Thursday. The club have announced that the women's team will go full-time professional. There you go. You can see it on your screen now. And according to the club website, I'll just make it bigger so you can see it. The club are committed to furthering teams' development. Burnley Football Club is excited to announce that Burnley FC Women will become a full-time professional outfit from the 2025-26 season. This is the next stage of development under the guidance of ALK Capital, with Chairman Alan Pace committed to supporting the acceleration and growth of women's football. The club has also expressed to WSL football its ability and interest in filling the void left in WSL2 by Blackburn Rovers after their decision to withdraw from WSL2 earlier this week. Now, I didn't know that last bit. I did know that Blackburn had withdrawn from the league. Blackburn women's team, they withdrew from the women's champion. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't follow women's football too much. But with Burnley's team getting professional, that's probably something that I will look into doing. But I did see that Blackburn had withdrawn, but I didn't know that Burnley were then ringing up the women's FA and being like, well, if they can't do it, we'll do it. That's actually hilarious. That is actually hilarious. So yeah, credit to Alan. I know he's a big advocate of women's football and, you know, women's safety as well. He's brought in them sort of like safeguarding stewards and stuff like that. And, you know, full credit to him as well. It's an inclusive sport, should be for everybody. Nobody should feel that they're not safe at football. And again, the women's game is growing. Again, it might. Some people don't like it because it's not as good as the men's in their opinion, but football's for everybody at the end of the day. Just going back to the article, Alan Pace said, this is an exciting step. This is an exciting next step in the journey of our women's team, and we're delighted to be able to make this announcement after so much planning and hard work. They have come a long way since being integrated into the club's operation in 2021, and it's important now that we provide the resources required to go full-time and give those involved the opportunity to progress to the next level. We see both the men's and women's teams as being important now and forever, and this move aims to accelerate the women further along the development line. So fair play to Alan Pace and ALK, and good luck to Burnley women. Hopefully they get that spot that Blackburn Rovers have left. It would be absolutely hilarious, number one, and number two, they deserve it. They've worked hard to get to the women's team in this position, and it would be nice just to slot them into the league like that. But yeah, full credit. But anyway, that's it from me. That's all the news for today. See what I mean? I was like, there's not much news, but then the Ekdal thing broke, the Zeki thing broke, then literally the lad that, what's he called? The lad that we were just linked with. I've completely forgotten his name already. Josip Juranovic. It shows how much I pay attention. That literally broke just as I was about to start recording this. So big shout out to the guy that tweeted it for me. But yeah, fantastic. Really enjoy doing these actually now. Once I've done one, hopefully I'll be back tomorrow with some news, if there is some news. But if not, I'm sure I'll find something to fill with 80 minutes. But yeah, as usual, let me know what you think in the comments below about the Zeki Amdouni situation. Do you want him to stay? Do you want him to leave? Do you want to cash in? Do you want to send him out on loan again? A loan seems pointless from a Burnley perspective, doesn't it? Either play for us, oh, he's doing that thing again. Either play for us or cash in my opinion. And the same with Ekdal. Do you think he's good enough? Let me know in the comments below. Obviously, and the lad who we're linked with, and the women's team. But thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for listening if you are listening on the podcast. And again, if you're watching this and you want to listen on the podcast, these are released as a podcast as well every single time I do one. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.